Okay, so I've decided to record a much slower version of the video that is already uploaded into Google Classroom. So this way you can use these steps that I'm going to be showing you on this video. You can watch this over and over again to complete your project that we have been working and practicing this entire week. So when you get to your screen, you should always make sure you have your layer window somewhere on your work surface. And if this doesn't exist, then all you have to do is just go to Windows and go to Layers. And this is a space that I want you guys to always look at, because everything that you're seeing on your work surface, if it's not there, then you can open it by going to Windows and clicking on any one of these things. Any of these things will pop up any of the tools that you will be needing throughout any of your assignments. So we're going to open up Layers, and now my layer box has been created. I am using a PC at home. You guys will be using a Mac at school. So when I say right click for you guys, it's still going to be Control and then clicking on the item. When I say Command, if I forget to say Command T and I say Control T for transform, know that on a Mac you should be pressing Command T. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is go to File, New, and you're going to title it Photography Sculpture. Your name. It's going to have 1920 pixels, 2600 height. Make sure your resolution is 72, your color mode is RGB 8-bit, and your background is white. Make sure that all of your settings look just like this, and you're going to press OK. Now you will see that this layer box has been created to indicate that this is my background. Now you're going to open up your Shapes tool to create a rectangle. I'm going to click my rectangle shape, and sometimes it'll be a circle. Sometimes the last time maybe you use a line. So it doesn't really matter what it is, but oftentimes when you're not sure what it is, just click on your shapes, your tools, and you're not going to get this that I'm getting, because I have my settings set to this, but you just need to kind of hover over it, and then when you open it, you'll see that there's a lot of other subset tools within that tool. Okay, so I'm going to click on the shape and click on the rectangle tool, and I'm going to just create a box about this size. And this has been filled with red because my top color of my swatches over here shows that my top color is red, and my bottom color, which is the background, is white. So when I have created this rectangle, you'll see that my second layer has automatically been created. Now what you're going to do is right click on this rectangle layer, and you're going to do blending options. And when you see this box, you're not going to click on the drop shadow, but you're going to actually click on the bar. And you'll notice when I do that, this screen pops up. Your opacity indicates how light or dark your drop shadow is going to be. So if you look at the box, the rectangle that I've created, as I move the opacity from the low numbers to the higher numbers, the shadow color becomes lighter or darker. So that's basically what opacity is. And we're going to be touching upon adjusting the opacity numbers later on when we are almost finished with our project. So for now, I'm just going to set it at 44, 45, 46, somewhere in the mid-ranges. So I'm just going to settle at 46. My angle, right now, the drop shadow is straight down because as you can see, 90-degree angle, this line indicates that it is a straight angle. I want to change that to a offset angle, and you'll notice that when I change that number, my shadow has now been created to the left. My distance, again, you can make your distance smaller or greater. And what that does is it moves the shadow further away with a higher number or closer, which means narrower when that number is lower. So we're going to settle at somewhere around 25. Maybe I'll do 34, doesn't really matter. And then my size is going to be 10, and we are done. And we're going to press OK. Okay, so now that you have created that, we're going to now bring in our image. So you're going to, again, go to File, Place Embedded, and you're going to look at somewhere on your drive, whether you've saved your picture into onto your desktop or it's somewhere in your downloads. So mine is on my download, and I'm going to place this image. Before I click the check button, this is a time when your image has the X and these guidelines around it. That is a chance for you to be able to transform, which means changing size. And when you change your size and anything ever, you always want to press the shift button as you move it up and down. What that does is guarantee that your picture will scale big or small within the proportion. If I don't press the shift button, you'll notice that when I scale things, so you should be able to move your image around, and you want to make sure that your image is bigger than your rectangle, and you're going to just kind of place it somewhere over your rectangle, and you're going to press the check button. Okay, the third layer has been created. Now, I want to create this layer within my rectangle. That means I'm going to clip the shape of my rectangle around my photo. To do that, you're going to right click over your photo layer, and you're going to go down and find Create Clipping Mask. And you'll see that my picture has now been clipped within the shape of the rectangle. If at any given point you're like, oh, I actually want to make my eyes be very prominent in this rectangle, make sure that that photo layer is highlighted, and all you're going to do is press Command T. And you'll notice that my guideline comes back of my photo. This is the real size of my photo. The only reason why you're not seeing the entire photo is because it's been clipped by the shape of the rectangle. And again, I'm going to press the shift, and I'm just going to kind of move my picture and make it bigger, and I'm going to kind of set it where it is only my eye showing up in that box. I'm going to press the check button. Okay, so you have done the first part. The second, the third, the fourth, and the consecutive parts after this is basically the same thing that you have been doing. And it's much easier now because you can duplicate these two layers over and over again. To duplicate it, you're going to make sure that both the rectangle layer and the photo layer is highlighted together. To do that, you're going to press Shift and make sure that you click on both layers, and you'll notice that both are highlighted. The guidelines come back, and you're going to now do Control J. And you'll notice that the Control J has given me an exact copy of my first two layers. Okay? And now what I want to do is I want to move this to another part of my canvas, of my paper. So your move button is this button over here that looks kind of like a cross with arrows. You're going to click on that, and now you should be able to move both the picture and the rectangle layer freely around my paper. And I'm going to just kind of place it perhaps right here. Doesn't really matter. Okay? So you're going to, now I'm going to make this easier for me, and I'm going to rename this. So I'm going to just double click on the name, and that name is going to get highlighted. So I'm going to write second layer rectangle. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to name this second layer photo. So now what I want to do is I want to have another part of my face showing on this rectangle. So I'm going to click on that photo layer of my second layer photo. Make sure that that layer is what I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to do Command T again. And now my picture has been highlighted, ready to be transformed. This time I'm going to maybe show just my nose. Okay. And I'm going to click the check button. All right, done. Now, just keep on continuing. I'm going to highlight both layers again, do Command J, and now I have a third layer. I have my Move button tool, and now I'm going to move this here. And I think I want to make this one a little bit bigger. So I'm going to click Command T, and both layers have been highlighted, so I can change the size of both the rectangle and the photo at the same time. Okay. All right. Okay, now I want to again manipulate the photo. So I'm going to double click on this, and I'm just going to rename this third layer photo. Okay. And now I'm going to make sure that that third layer photo has been highlighted. And I'm going to do Command T again. And this time I'm going to show just my mouth. Okay. So again, I'm going to double click both layers, do Command J, duplicate that once more. Actually going to change the name to third layer. This one. This will be my fourth layer. I like to name my layers just so that if I accidentally move this layer somewhere else, I can Control Z, Command Z, or I can just move it because I have labeled everything. Sometimes you have a slip of a hand and you can make some mistakes. So this way, you know, it's not a big deal. So now I've got the fourth layer, have both of those highlighted, and now I'm going to move that somewhere else. Now, if you want to turn this horizontal rectangle shape to a vertical, again, you're going to make sure I'm going to do the rotation for both the rectangle and the photo. So that's why they're both still highlighted, and I will do Command T again. When you press Command T, these guidelines come. This guideline is not only for making something smaller or bigger, but when you hover around the perimeter of this guideline, whenever you're near these squares, you'll see that your cursor will change shape to become a curved arrow. That means you can now rotate it, and if you press Shift and rotate it, that means whenever you try to rotate something, it'll always go in 45, 90, 180, kind of these like straight, more definitive angles. And I'm going to now place that here, maybe make that a little bit wider. Okay, so notice how right now, because my fourth layer is the most recent layer and it's at the very top, it's over all of my other layers. So now if I wanted this layer to kind of go underneath my nose layer, all I have to do is just make sure both of those layers are highlighted, and I'm just going to move it. I believe that nose was my third. I'm just going to place it back below. Okay, so I wanted it to be on top of my very first eye layer, but I did want it to be below my nose layer. So after you shift things around, then you'll realize, oh, it wasn't further enough down, so I just had to remove it. And this time I'm going to name this left eye shape, and this will be my left eye photo, because I'm going to change this photo to show just my eye, and I'm going to actually rotate my eye so that it is showing like this. Notice how I only rotated and transformed my photo layer, and I did not touch my rectangle layer. So you're going to be repeating these steps, and at any given point, what you want to do is, if you want to create introduce a new photo, again, you're going to create a rectangle, and I think I want this rectangle to be my most top layer. Okay. And now I'm going to bring in my second image. So go to place embedded, and this time I'm going to see, This is a terrible photo. I don't really have any photos on this computer, but let's just say we're going to use this photo. It's a terrible quality photo. It's from a phone, but it doesn't matter. I'm just showing you. And we're going to embed it. Again, we're going to right click and create clipping mask, and voila, now I have my second photo. Ideally, when we do this project, you will be using 3 portraits that we're going to be taking during class of the same day, same lighting. If you're going to do yours in black and white, all of your photos that you're going to be bringing in and placing into your file will be black and white. This way you're still able to create a very seamless look, but manipulating the shape of your rectangles and placing your mosaic to whatever direction and angle, and which layers on top is going to be entirely up to you. So I hope this kind of eases the confusion that you've had, and ultimately when we're all said and done, your job is to make sure that you are placing these boxes wherever you want, and if you want it to be below, then you are going to drag it down to let's say this one, I want to put this under my nose layer. There you go. So let's say I do this. So when it's all said and done, you're going to click on your rectangle layers one at a time, and ultimately you're going to kind of change your drop shadows to make it a little bit more dynamic and more three-dimensional. So let's say we are going to touch the 3rd layer rectangle. And if you don't know which one your 3rd layer is, because you're like, oh shoot, I didn't label it, so I forgot what it is. When you click on that layer, just click on this eye. That eye disappears whatever is on that layer. So it's a really good way for you to be like, oh, okay, so that's my 3rd layer. You can tell that by when you click on the eye, that picture disappears. So this is the one that I'm going to change the drop shadows a little bit. So I'm going to right click, go to blending options, and maybe this time I'm going to really make this one darker. Maybe I'll even make this angle 45. Maybe I'll make the distance 75, make it a little bit more further out. Okay, and the spread you don't have to worry so much because it's a singular drop shadow. And then the size, as you can see, what it does is it makes the glow of your shadow less or more. Okay, so we're gonna kind of keep it at I like it at 10. It's a little blurry, but not too blurry. Okay. So you're going to kind of do this on all of your rectangles. So I'm going to click on my, okay, that's my 2nd layer rectangle, blending options. And again, this one, I think I'm also going to make this a little bit darker and make my distance a tad bit wider. So you're going to continue to do that and really just kind of, move stuff around. And again, if you want to move anything, you just want to make sure that you are clicking on both of the photo and the rectangle layers at the same time. Press Command T and you can move that around. If you're like, oh, I want to actually shift this a little bit or make it a little bit bigger, you do that by clicking on whatever layer you're working on. All right, that's it. Now once you get the hang of this, we're going to be kind of continuing to work on this throughout this week. I want you guys to feel really confident and comfortable using these steps, because once we spend a week taking our self-portraits, you are going to be creating your own photo sculpture using your own self-portraits you have taken.